Throughout the times, people have come up with a wide variety of horrific torture methods and devices. They were mostly created as a means to torture for punishment and to extract information. Oh, and occasionally to even torture for pleasure. We count down the top 5 most brutal and horrific torture methods ever.
Number 5.
The Head Crusher. The title pretty much gives away exactly what this torture device is all about. Widely used during most of the Middle Ages, the victim would have their chin placed over the bottom bar and the head under the upper cap. The torturer then turned the screw, which slowly pressed the bar against the cap. This resulted in the head being very slowly compressed. First the teeth are shattered into the jaw, then, over the hours to come, the victim slowly died in excruciating pain. It was widely popular due to the ability to prolong the torture. The torturer could compress and decompress the victim's skull until a confession was made. Sometimes though, even a confession wasn't enough to stop the procedure. If the torture was miraculously stopped midway by a change of heart or a confession, the victim was often left with permanent disfigurement and sometimes irreparable damage to the brain.
Number 4.
Scaphism, an absolutely horrific method of torture. Sometimes referred to as the tub or boats, and is said to have been created by the Persians. It consisted of the victim being trapped between 2 boats, put in a tub or even a hollowed out tree trunk. They were then force fed a diet consisting of milk and honey. You're probably thinking that doesn't sound that bad. Well, it gets a whole lot worse. That milk and honey diet eventually caused a pretty bad case of diarrhea, which slowly accumulated in the enclosure. They would then be coated in milk and honey and put in direct sunlight. This rotting feces and the smell of milk and honey would attract bugs. The bugs would breed and feed on the victim's body. The victim couldn't even hope for a death by starvation because the milk and the honey contained enough nutrients to keep them going. It was intended this way so the poor soul was able to live through the whole ordeal, whilst maggots and other bugs slowly consumed them.
Number 3.
The Brazen Bull. This horrific method was designed and created in ancient Greece. Victims were placed inside, then the door was shut, trapping them inside, sometimes with their tongues cut off first. A fire would then be lit under the bull. As it slowly got hotter and hotter, the victim would scream, thrash and bang inside. The desperate attempts to escape and the cries for help were muted by the bull's hollow mass. Because of the way it was designed, these bangs and screams made it seem like the bull was alive, and from the outside it sounded like a real bull. This effect really amused the audience, and as the victim was inside, the spectators were removed from some of the brutality, as they couldn't see the victim being slowly cooked alive. Legend has it the creator of the first brazen bull, a Greek man named Perillus, designed this bull and showed it off to a local ruler, expecting a large reward. Instead, Perillus was put inside it and was the very first victim of his own creation.
Number 2.
White torture, the most recently invented method of torture on this list. This method doesn't target extreme physical pain. Instead, it targets emotional and extreme psychological destruction. The victim is locked in a room that is completely white. They are clothed in white and everything they encounter during the ordeal will be white. Even the food they receive will be white on a white dish. They are also forced to keep silent. Because of this sensory deprivation and isolation, the person starts to hallucinate, which in turn slowly makes them insane. The white cell has no windows and the guards even wear padded shoes to muffle any sound. Victims who have gone through this ordeal have reportedly said they lost all self-identification and couldn't even recognise their own mother or father's faces. For what seems like such a simple method compared to the rest, this form of torture can produce devastating long-lasting effects.
Number 1.
If seeing a rat or even being around one is torturous enough for you, you may want to look away now. Yes, one of the most sadistic of all torture techniques ever devised involves a rat and a cage. It starts with having a cage or a metal container of some kind strapped to your stomach. Inside that cage contains a rat or multiple rats that are literally trapped and scampering around on your torso. The cage would then be heated, and as the cage got hotter and hotter, the rats would start to panic and start trying to escape. Now, which is the easiest escape route for the rats? Through the metal container or through your body? Yep, you guessed it, the rats will slowly start to claw, bite and burrow through your body in a desperate bid to escape the intense heat. Not only is this absolutely agonising for the poor victim, it has always proved fatal. I really can't think of a slower, more agonising and gruesome way of dying than this one. And that brings my list of the top 5 most horrific torture methods to an end. I jolly well hoped you liked it, and as always, thank you for watching.